There was a request, and Kenyans have been asking that it is time for former President Uhuru Kenyatta to come out and speak his mind so that Kenyans get to understand who to believe. Because opinions are still divided on whether it is true that Ruto called Raila, that Uhuru called Raila to call Ruto so that they will get into some sort of agreement. But a report has emerged here about Uhuru calling an Azimio summit. Now I want us to just get a snippet of that story. Then we'll get to the gist of this analysis, why Uhuru has to control these narratives, and of course, the fate of the Azimio boat.
In a last-ditch attempt to save the Azimio ship from sinking, KTN News can authoritatively report that former President Uhuru Kenyatta will in the coming days convene an Azimio Council meeting to address wrangles in the Azimio coalition. Among members of the Azimio Council who are expected to attend the meeting are ODM leader Raila Odinga and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who has recently sharply criticized some of ODM's decisions, such as the move to join President William Ruto's broad-based government and the assumption of all vacant posts in the minority benches.
Hivi karibuni hata chairperson wa Azimio Summit ambaye ni mheshimiwa ambaye amestaafu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, nadhani ataitisha kikao ili tujadiliane mambo haya kiwaziwazi.
Apart from the rivalry between sibling parties, the Uhuru-chaired Azimio Council is expected to discuss the conflicting reports on Uhuru's alleged involvement in talks between President Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga.
Nchi inachomeka, Uhuru ndiye alinipiga mimi simu. Uhuru akaniambia mimi tafuta pande Ruto, ongea na hii. Kenya ikichomeka tutakuwa nchi nyingine.
Mimi sielewi mnafanya nini. So for Raila to say that it is him who told him, crashing on straws.
DAP-K leader Eugene Wamalwa has since taken to social media to corroborate Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni's statement. On his part, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who spoke on the sidelines of the Africa Youth Forum that took place on Thursday at the United Nations office at Gigiri, Nairobi, refused to pick sides.
David, ask Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni that question. Ask Raila that question. If you're able to reach President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, ask him that question.
Further, the council is expected to discuss the imminent exit of Mother Karua's NARC Kenya party from the coalition after Karua formally filed for divorce last month. The Azimio Council meeting is set to take place once both Raila and Uhuru are back in the country. Uhuru is reportedly in the United States, while Raila is in Kinshasa, the capital city of the Democratic Republic of Congo, to seek support for his bid to become the next chairperson of the African Union Commission.
Now, I'm taking keen interest in this story for two reasons. Two or three. Number one, Azimio chairman, after Uhuru left power, was actually Oparanya. So the chairman of Azimio Summit was Oparanya. He's the person that took over from Uhuru Kenyatta. And so Oparanya has been taken to cabinet. Okay? That's number one. Number two, I also have interest because Kalonzo Musyoka was also trying to throw himself, was actually endorsed by Jeremiah Kioni, who I want to believe is a close ally of the former president. Jeremiah Kioni endorsed Kalonzo Musyoka as the leader, as the Azimio leader, the head of Azimio, after Raila joined government. So Uhuru Kenyatta is saying that he's going to meet with, he's going to hold Azimio Council. One, I want to say, maybe they just need the story. I can't remember when last Uhuru held a meeting. The last time Uhuru held a meeting with Azimio was in 2023 in Kalonzo Musyoka Command Center, and he went there to commemorate with Kenyans who had lost, families of those who had lost their kids on the cost of living protest that Raila Odinga team were leading. Quite a number of people were killed. So that was the last time he was there. But that story was aired to show something. Uhuru wanted to show that I am willing to clarify something about Raila. And if he's willing to clarify, then only clarification can be that I didn't. But if he agrees with what Raila says, then there will be no story of agree. That's number one. But I want to take a minute and just put something around this meeting before I look at why Uhuru is wants to control the narrative around him. I honestly do feel that Azimio la Umoja did not take, not Azimio la Umoja, let me say, I felt that any potential candidate that wants to face William Ruto, they did not take opportunity of the Gen Z protest to push Ruto to the wall. And I want to address Kalonzo Musyoka. After the protest, William Ruto went to the street and is now engaging in a new wave of campaigns to try to consolidate the ground. Kalonzo Musyoka is hopping from one meeting to the other and only changing goalposts on now. I think the recent one is said he's now going to hold talks with Raila. He will continue consulting Raila Odinga. But I did not see what I would have expected ordinarily is the Gen Z protest created a momentum. It created some tsunami moment. It opened the eyes of the people, and the people are now willing and more open and more transparent in speaking truth to power and asking the government what they're getting wrong and what they're getting right. But what would you expect? Someone would ask, what did you expect from Kalonzo? What would have expected from Kalonzo? There is one point that was left hanging, and Raila has been doing it. Whenever he engages with those in power, he do forget about innocent lives that were killed. This was the time that Kalonzo would have picked justice for the children, the women, and the men of this country that are still in hospitals, suffering wounds that were inflicted on them during protest. It will be standing with the families, organizing prayer, rallies, even in counties, so that he also pushes a narrative that while the president comes out to speak all those good words to you, this in real sense is the issue. In fact, if you ask me, Jimmy Wanjigi has tried. Of course, Jimmy Wanjigi do not have the political capital that Kalonzo have, the political mass that Kalonzo have. Jimmy Wanjigi has the capital, the political capital, the capital to invest in politics, which is money. But Kalonzo have some masses. I do feel that Azimio la Umoja, after Raila went to be with government, they found themselves everyone is just taking a direction. In fact, they were rattled. If you listen to what Didi Nyomalo is saying, he keeps on taking the microphone saying, Raila has to choose whether to be in government or in... You cannot say that thing all over, Monday to Friday. Martha Karua said, I am no longer in Azimio, and so I have to move. Fine. Then Kalonzo be here like, I am the last person to be in Azimio. Then I find out, what are these people telling the supporters? They did not consolidate And because I trust that Kalonzo is a person that is formidable, I wish people around him can say, he is not acted in a manner likely to suggest that he wants to confront Ruto in 2027. And so, if Uhuru is swinging into action, then it's a blessing in disguise for the Kalonzos. Now, why should Uhuru control the narratives around him? For so long, since Uhuru relinquished power on 13th February 2022, Uhuru took a back seat. So it will be at one point, the handlers talking about it. There were pro-Uhuru bloggers that are still hanging there. They are neither here nor there. But there is no clear position. Uhuru has social media. That's where he communicates. But there is no clear position on what Uhuru is saying about this and that. And so, Raila and Ruto have been mastering the art of capitalizing on Uhuru's silence to control narratives around Uhuru. And I think it's about time that Uhuru controls the narratives around him. Because the more this happens, he's most likely going to lose his clout, if indeed he's still interested to put a voice in the country. There are three reasons why Uhuru must control the narratives around him. Raila is planning to endorse Ruto for 2027. I will analyze that. Allow me, I will analyze that in my next video. Raila Odinga is planning to endorse Ruto in 2027. And whether I like it or not, that is it. But the more Raila goes to Ruto, and then immediately getting in the house is saying, even before I came in, I was meeting Uhuru outside there and we just left. Uhuru just told me to come and take dinner here. He is dragging Uhuru in it. In fact, if you ask me, Raila is taking Uhuru to Ruto. So if Raila is going to endorse Ruto in 2027, because they all likely, I will tell you, like next video, that is something I can see. Then he should do that. Uhuru should not allow him to carry the baggage go with him. Number two, the AU bid is coming. And we also hope, and we're also hoping that he can clinch the seat. Of course, I agree with Paul Njoroge when he says, we'll agree with Raila locally here. But when he decides to go out there, he also has his life, his political career. He also has his ambitions. If his ambitions are beyond the country and is out there, maybe we just need to wish him the best of luck. But that AU bid is going to create a vacuum, whether we like it or not. And if you want to know there is a vacuum, you look at how Nyanza fellows have been fighting. The wrangles and so have been fighting. So because there is a vacuum, there is stability. Stability is needed. Even if Azimio is dead, but what is replacing it? That there's some unity of purpose needed. And lastly, Uhuru government is employing a lot. Ruto government is employing a lot of propaganda. Oh, I can tell you. Since Uhuru left power, one of the politicians that has been slandered and mudslinged by pro-Ruto bloggers is none other than Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, Uhuru is funding protests. Uhuru wants to remove Ruto. I don't know, Uhuru have stolen. We found empty coffers. Uhuru carried money with bags. You know, everything has been said. Uhuru wanted to kill Ruto. Uhuru this. Uhuru I don't know is abroad. Uhuru I don't know is planning what. There have been everything. Everything. That Uhuru is the one that has sent Raila to go and protest. That Uhuru is funding youth to go. You know, there have been every manner of everything that has been said around it. And so, because that propaganda has been too much around him, it's also wise that he takes control of what is said around him. But why would he steer the Azimio boat? That is critical. I want us to get to that. I want us to listen to that keenly. Why his presence back? And why his presence is sending shockwaves to Ruto team? Because Matian'gi candidature is in the offing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. We analyzed here last week that Matian'gi is thinking of going for presidency in 2027. And I said, in politics, it's not just said. Matian'gi has a party, progressive party. Matian'gi has some few political leaders around him. Matian'gi himself is a political voice. If that was just a mere propaganda room around it, then he would have clarified. But the silence means they were testing waters. So candidature of Matian'gi can be viable. You might think of Matian'gi Kalonzo ticket, getting the backing of Uhuru and Raila. Well, people also need the new faces. And in fact, Matian'gi represents the ruthlessness that this country needs. This country just needs to be ruthless. You find someone has diverted drugs that are meant for patients. You you ask him, you don't take him to court. You ask him, where are those drugs? What is that private hospital? You go to that private hospital, take those drugs back to where they needed. Then you start arresting them and chase and ban from public office. So Matian'gi candidature is here. And that is why when Uhuru is coming to steer the Azimio boat, it will really send some shockwaves to Ruto's camp. Number two, Ruto is slowly losing grip of Mount Kenya. It may not be instant, but it's gradually. I can tell you in 2022, the 3 million that he got from Mount Kenya might reduce. And my guess will be it can reduce even to 2 million. All factors kept constant. It can even drop to 2 million. And so when Uhuru's voice is coming at this time, and the Ruto team will not be very comfortable with him holding grip of Azimio. The other thing, I think the Gen Z effect can push Ruto to the core. If it just gets a political backing, it's a big thing. I've been saying we have passive peace. What we have this country is not peace. We have a very perishable country. That's what people, and that's what the politicians must realize. We will once remind them. We have a very perishable country. Our country is delicate. So I see people making all sorts of blunders. Very delicate. And I think also Uhuru brings the resources in the picture. Because with Uhuru in the picture, you can be sure that you can finance a political campaign against an incumbent, especially a sitting president. You need that, by the way. Kenyan politics is still, basically, 70% of Kenyan political campaigns and, one of the tools of manipulation, 70% of manipulation is done through the money. That is my take, guys. Let's meet in the next, which I'm going to explain further on why Raila is showing signal of endorsing Ruto. Thank you.